Hello and welcome to Bust or Trust, a kids' mystery podcast. I'm Tiernan.
And I'm Athena. Bust or Trust is the podcast where we unravel the world's greatest mysteries with help from you, our chief detectives.
We present all the best evidence and then ask you to decide, which team are you on?
Are you a myth buster like me?
Or are you a myth truster like me? We look into all sorts of strange stories from around the world. No mystery is too big for us. Like, if something is described as indescribable, haven't you already described it?
Yeah, but you try drawing a picture of something indescribable. It's really hard.
Okay. Here you go.
Okay, that is, I don't know what that is.
Exactly. We tell you at the end of the show just how to get in touch, so you can let us know if you're on Team Buster or the best one, Team Truster.
So, chief detectives, get ready to take notes and start putting together your case, while we have a quick word with the grown-ups.
The case.
Excuse me, Athena, I need to put one of these up next to you over there.
What is this poster? You put them up all over Bust or Trust HQ. Are you a ghost in need of somewhere to spook? Come to Bust or Trust HQ and help us become the most haunted podcast in the world. What? Is this an advert for ghosts?
Exactly. You've got it in one. I'm sick of reading all these lists about most haunted places and Bust or Trust HQ isn't ever on them. In fact, we're not even in the top 20.
Well, we don't have any ghosts?
Exactly. Not one.
That's because they aren't real.
No, it's because they're all employed elsewhere. I thought if I put the posters up, then within days we could be like this week's case of the ancient Ram Inn, the most haunted building in England.
Hang on, if we haven't got any ghosts here, why are you putting up the posters indoors? No ghosts will see them.
I hadn't thought of that. You're right. I'll take them down again, and while I do, can you please tell the chief detectives all about the ancient Ram Inn?
The ancient Ram Inn is a former pub in Wootton-under-Edge, a market town in Gloucestershire, England. Pub is short for public house and is a place that serves food and drinks, and they are very popular in the UK. It was believed to have been built somewhere around 1145, though no one is entirely sure, as other reports actually say it was built much later than that. It is now a Grade 2 listed building, which means it's protected because of its historic value. Over its history, the building was at one point a place for workmen to lodge and stay. Then it became a priest's house, before becoming an inn, which it continued to be until 1968. Then, a man called John Humphreys bought it from the brewery to save the building by opening it as a ghost house.
The ancient Ram Inn is now very well known for being England's most haunted building. They say that almost every room has ghosts, from the sound of a crying baby and spooky monks to invisible forces that throw visitors up the stairs and move furniture by themselves.
People travel from all over the world to visit and even stay the night. They offer guided ghost hunts and also junior ghost hunts during the school holidays. But skeptics like me say there were no ghosts at all, and it's all been set up for what's known as dark tourism, which is when people visit spooky places to get a bit frightened for fun.
I think it's definitely full of spooky spirits, and I want to find out how it got them so we can get a few to come here.
Good luck with that. I've got a feeling somehow that when it comes to any response from imaginary ghouls, you're going to get ghosted.
We'll see. Or maybe hear, or just feel something weird. But while we wait for our new ghostly roommates, how about a look at the first piece of evidence?
First piece of evidence.
The first and most important piece of evidence is all the spooky things that people visiting the ancient Ram Inn have seen, heard or felt. Why don't you walk with me through the inn, Athena?
Sure. I'm not sure I like the sound of this, even though I don't believe in ghosts. Wandering around the dark and dusty old building isn't how I choose to spend my afternoon.
Here is the entrance. You have to duck to go under this very low door frame into a room with a very low ceiling. It's dark, cluttered with items, and feels very cramped. Visitors say as soon as they enter, they get a sudden feeling that something awful might happen. Many feel chills, and one person described it by saying, "The atmosphere was awful. I can only describe it as pure filth. dark and heavy.
Well, I can see why. It's an old building with bare walls, lots of shadows, and barely any room to move. If you believe you're about to get spooked, this feels like an ideal setting. So I'm certain any strange feelings are all caused by people's minds playing tricks on them because they've already convinced themselves that they will be scared.
Or because it's full to the brim of ghosts and is scary. Follow me into this room over here, the men's kitchen, and see if this gives you any chills. Now, this room is said to be built on top of an old burial ground. In here, visitors say they often hear the sound of a baby crying.
Yeah, I can see why that would be annoying. How can you listen to the guide with that baby making all that noise?
No, it's not annoying crying, it's scary baby crying.
What? Like when you're on an airplane and you think, oh no, I have to listen to this for hours.
No, never mind. Let's go next door as this is the witch's room. It's haunted by the spirit of a witch, a friendly one though, and her black cat. Oh, and the ghost of a young girl is often seen waving from the window.
Oh, that sounds nice. A ghost cat would be handy, wouldn't it? You'd never have to let it out at night, as it could just walk through the walls.
Yeah, that is true. And you wouldn't have to feed it either. Okay, that actually sounds better than a real cat. It gets a lot spookier upstairs, so let's go have a look there. Walking up the stairs, visitors say they felt invisible hands grab them and throw them up.
Well, again, the invisible hands might have been a combination of people feeling scared and imagining things while also trying to walk up these very old, very dodgy stairs. I reckon a lot of people would fall up them if they weren't careful.
I do sometimes wish invisible hands would help me upstairs. In fact, every time I go upstairs. Okay, next is said to be the scariest room in the building. Follow me. This is the bishop's room. Big wooden beams across the ceiling and walls. The bed, lamps and curtain are all a blood red. And boy, is it cluttered with paintings, vases and all sorts of stuff. Visitors have seen a ghostly night in here, 2 ghost monks, a ghost shepherd and his ghost dog, and they've heard the screams of a man who people believe is being murdered. People who stay in this room say they get approached by a demon, and once a medium came in here and they were lifted off the ground and flung into the corridor. A medium is someone who says they can communicate with the dead.
Yeah, that's a lot. It does all sound very spooky, except for the ghost sheepdog. He sounds like a very good boy. But these are all just stories, Tiernan. There's no names for the supposed witnesses that saw or felt these things, so it's impossible to say for sure that any of it actually happened.
It's really not fun doing ghost walks with you. You know that.
Yeah, I do, and thank you.
Last bit, the attic. Climb up here.
Oh, this looks like it's not been cleaned for 400 years. Oh, there's so many cobwebs. Who's haunting up here then? Spider-Man?
Ha ha. But this is actually really scary stuff now. It's said that in the 1500s, an innkeeper's daughter was murdered in this attic room, and anyone who sleeps downstairs in the bishop's room below can hear something heavy being dragged across the floor. Like a body?
When do they hear that? Whilst they're being bothered by a demon or talking to a ghost shepherd?
I don't know. I guess the ghosts take it in turns to spook people. Maybe some of them don't work weekends? I guess there's no point taking you to the barn to see the strange 7-foot-tall dark shadow figure?
No, I'm okay, thanks. These are all great stories, but there's not much evidence to show who actually saw these things. Also, as we've talked about a lot on this podcast, when you feel really scared or stressed, your brain can play tricks on you and make you see or hear things that aren't actually there. They're called visual hallucinations. So, a shadow might seem like a ghost, or a creaky door or a breeze passing through a drafty room might suddenly sound like a baby crying. There are often very rational explanations for everything you've described.
You're right, there are rational explanations, but it's not that people are making these ghost encounters up. Let's head back to Buster Trust HQ and let me present to you piece of evidence number 2.
Second piece of evidence.
The second piece of evidence is the various skeletons and mummified creatures that the owner of the Ram Inn, John Humphreys, found in and around the property when he bought it. Starting with the witch's room, where the ghost of the black cat can be seen, remember? Well, Mr. Humphreys found a mummified cat and a Bible hidden behind the chimney. A long time ago, during pagan times, which were before most modern religions started, people had different beliefs and customs. They would hide things like this in their homes for protection, thinking that the cat's spirit would keep away bad luck and evil. The museum in Stroud found out that the cat was 4,500 years old, meaning it was mummified long before the house was built.
Hang on, that doesn't make sense. Paganism isn't just one thing. It was a name used by Christians in ancient Rome for people who believed in different gods instead of following Judaism. So, when we talk about pagan rituals, remember there were many different beliefs and they weren't called by that name. Mummifying cats was something people did in the Middle Ages, and it wasn't just done by pagans. Also, there's no proof that the Stroud Museum studied the cat, so it might be from more recent times. Plus, it's very unlikely that a pagan would have buried a cat with a Bible, because guess what? Pagans didn't use the Bible.
Maybe they didn't want the Bible, so instead of popping it in a charity shop, they thought it best to give the cat something to read?
Hard to read things when your face is wrapped in a cloth, though.
Yeah, that is true. Imagine being all wrapped up like that for years, and you can't even read a comic book. Oof. OK, the origins of the cat may be questionable, but it was still found there, and that's still creepy. The other thing that was found, though, is even more creepy, and that was a lot of skeletons, some of which were from children. These bones suggest that the ancient Ram Inn might have been built on an old pagan burial ground, where people were once sacrificed to gods. This might explain why there are so many ghostly sightings and strange occurrences at the inn today. So people were killed in the building or where the building now is, which could explain why there are so many unsettled ghosts wandering around it.
Well, I suppose it would, if there was definitely a pagan burial ground there, but there were no archaeological records for any such thing. One investigator who wanted to find out if these claims were true checked with several official groups that keep track of ancient burial sites and monuments. They looked at records from the Archaeology Data Service, the National Heritage List for England, and other sources, but they couldn't find any information about this site. People were buried in many places all over the country, and it's common for bones to be found under an old building when its foundations are dug up or changed. There is no way to say for sure if these bodies under the Ram Inn were killed, unless someone is allowed to inspect the bodies officially, which no one has.
But the skeletons were there, though, and that is spooky, right?
Well, maybe. We know one burial spot is visible when you go to the ancient Ram Inn. But where are the bones from all the skeletons that were found? They don't seem to be on display anywhere.
Maybe they wandered off, or they only popped by at night to spook visitors. And if it's not them spooking visitors, as you'll see in the final piece of evidence, something definitely is.
Third piece of evidence.
The last piece of evidence is the many, many photos online of strange orbs of light in the attic. These lights in the images are long and cylindrical and show up in a lot of visitors' photos of the most upstairs room. Some are much brighter than others. Could they be photobombing ghosts?
They could be, but experts say 99.9% of all images of long or orb-shaped ghostly lights are down to dust, insects, mould spores, or pollen. Being that it's a very, very old dusty attic, it could be any of those. There are lots of things floating in the air all the time, and when the flash from a camera or phone camera catches them just right, they reflect back out of focus and cause an orb of light to appear. The same can occur if a hair or a dust strand is too close to the lens.
But these strange lights appear pretty similar in everyone's pictures.
Maybe that just shows how much the attic needs a good clean. I wonder if anyone's tried tackling all these ghosts with a feather duster and a good vacuum cleaner.
But then you'd have to ask the ghosts if they mind you hoovering while they're busy, I don't know, spooking around or playing hide and shriek.
No, you wouldn't, because there aren't any there. I can't help but feel that it's strange that before John Humphreys bought the building in the 1960s, it wasn't known for being spooky at all. And now there's been loads of supposed discoveries. It's a very popular tourist spot. Funny that.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit strange.
I do wish all these places would stop pretending to be the most haunted. Why won't anyone set up a tourist attraction that's just a bit more calming?
And what can you tell me about this room?
Yes, this is the main parlour room where, for over 600 years, absolutely nothing of note has ever happened.
Nothing at all?
Oh no, things have happened, but nothing anyone is interested in. 57 years ago, Then master of the house, Edward, accidentally dropped his sandwich, but he didn't get upset about it. He just made another one.
Wow.
If you look to your left, down the corridor, that is the old nursery.
Ooh, is there some awful tale about it from hundreds of years ago?
Nope. Every child who played there had a really great time. Sometimes they even had an ice lolly when it was very warm.
My goodness. So this really is...
The least haunted building in the world. That's right. In every single room, there are no ghosts. And in fact, if you'd just like to follow me, here, in this room, the second floor bathroom, there are actually -5 ghosts.
Minus ghosts? How does that work?
It's a bit complicated really, but because there is such an absence of ghosts in this room, and because it is so unhaunted, it means 5 extra ghosts have ended up elsewhere for balance.
Where have they gone?
Well, we didn't get to choose obviously, but 1 is at the zoo, 2 went to the creepy well 5 miles down the road, and 1 is at the supermarket.
That's only 4.
Yeah, we don't really know where the 5th one went, but occasionally we get a postcard when they go on holiday.
I just don't understand how nothing has ever happened here of note. Everywhere has a history.
Remarkable, isn't it?
It just doesn't make sense. The more I think about it, the more it worries me. Why hasn't anything happened here? It's just not right. In fact, it's haunting.
Another victim successfully spooked. I mean, nothing. Nothing at all. That really creeped me out, actually. Imagine somewhere where absolutely nothing has happened.
I get scared thinking about how boring that is.
Oh, me too. What does make sense, though, is how skilled our chief detectives are. And it's time for them to decide on the case.
Is the ancient Ram Inn really super haunted?
Or is the only spooky thing the admission price to see an old, dusty building?
Time to recap the evidence.
Evidence recap.
The first bit of evidence is the detailed descriptions of all the ghosts and ghouls visitors have seen in each room of the ancient Ram Inn. And there are a lot.
But if you already know you're visiting the most haunted building in England, you've already convinced yourself you will be scared. And visual hallucinations and other tricks of the brain can occur when you're feeling stressed or frightened.
The second piece of evidence are the remains of a mummified cat in the wall and skeletons found under the ancient Ram Inn, suggesting it was built on top of a pagan burial ground.
But there is no real way of telling when the cat was mummified or when it was put into the building, nor is there much information about how old the skeletons are or even where all but 1 are now. Plus, none of the archaeological associations have any data on there being a pagan burial ground in the area.
The final piece of evidence is the many photos from visitors to the ancient Ram Inn of strange oblong and orb lights in the attic, which could possibly be ghosts.
But experts have proven time and time again that many photos of strange ghostly lights are caused by light reflecting off dust and other molecules in the air.
So now we're handing it over to you, Chief Detectives.
What do you think? Are you a most haunted building in England mythbuster?
Or a most haunted building in England myth truster? Get in touch and let us know your thoughts, and most importantly, which side you're on. I can suddenly see an apparition of a Team Truster win.
I think it will haunt you forever if you don't join Team Buster on this obviously phony, haunted building. Send us your voice notes with an explanation of why you're a myth truster or myth buster when it comes to whether the ancient Ram Inn really is very, very haunted, or the only chilling thing about it is how much people pay to look at some dusty rooms.
All you have to do is ask your grown-ups to help you email us your voice notes or thoughts to hello@bustortrust.com.
Tell us your name, age, what you think all the evidence means, and please make sure your grown-ups give us permission to use your voice notes or emails in our next episode.
You can also send us a question on Spotify Q&A, but please get permission from your parents and don't include any personal details so we can publish them safely. We won't always be able to use all of them.
But we do love to hear them, and here are some thoughts from you lot, our chief detectives, on the last few episodes.
Hi, my name is Lennox. You might remember me from Okiku the Haunted Doll. And I am a buster. I'm a truster for the Kelly Hopkins encounter because TikTok is wrong. TikTok is wrong, and I don't think eagles live there either. And can you do an episode on the Olmec heads?
First of all, Olmec heads, yeah, what a great shout. Maybe we'll look into that, but they are mysterious. But we all know they were probably carved by human beings. But, I'm happy to get the evidence later to prove that. And secondly, well, I think if you looked at the evidence again, Lennox, and you've come to your conclusion. So all I can say is I respect that you're on Team Truster.
Yeah, me too, Lennox, and thanks for giving us a second voicemail. We do remember you from the Okiku case, so thanks for keeping tabs on the evidence ever since. That's some good chief detectiving.
We were sent an Apple review from Iris, and she listened to the episode The Ghost of Drury Lane. Hi guys, I'm Iris, and I wish I could say this in person, because then you would know how much this means, because I can't tell you how much I love this podcast. It's the only thing I listen to for The Ghosts of Drury Lane. And well, this one is one of my favourites, and I'm sorry, Athena, but I'm a truster on this one, and I'm always a truster. I mean, why wouldn't you be? I believe in anything and everything. Keep up the good work. Bye. Tiernan,
Wow.
She believes in anything
She believes
and everything.
in anything.
Just like you.
And everything. That's
You're not the only
amazing.
one.
Well, that's it. And if she believes, that's fantastic, Iris. So welcome to Team Truster. But also, Athena, if she believes in anything and everything, maybe, Iris, we desperately need someone to send us all of the cakes right now. It's an emergency. Will that work?
It won't work, Tiernan. It never works. Stop doing that.
One day. We have had this Apple review from PCI BZC123, who says, I love this, 5 stars. This is so cool. I cannot usually get to sleep, but now my friend Iris recommended this, I had no trouble. It's always a treat to listen, and you both always make my day. I now can't wait to listen to this in bed. Well, thank you, strange name person, and amazing that Iris, whose comment we've read out on, she's been recommending the podcast to you, and I'm so pleased that you decided to listen. And hey, your messages always make our day, so thank you lots.
Yeah, chief detectives, get your friends to be chief detectives too. Brilliant messages all the time, every week. We make a fantastic team.
Thanks so much for sending those in. And if you enjoyed the show, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more great episodes. We love to hear what you think, so please do rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps more detectives find, bust or trust. And of course, we'll read out some of the reviews on the show.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time for more Bust or Trust.
Well, I've put my Ghost Wanted posters all over town. I reckon we'll have some new spectral visitors any day now.
Yeah, right. Good luck with that. How are we going to get a ghost if they don't even exist?
Wait and see.
Oh, what was that?
Oh no, they've already arrived. I'm not sure I want a ghost in Bust or Trust HQ now. What if they're a scary one?
Oh, you're okay. It was just a letter in the post, and it looks like this one's for you.
Oh, really? Exciting. Oh no, this is even more scary than having new ghost roommates.
What is it?
I've been charged £100 by the council for covering everything in posters without asking for permission first.